Steph Smart here with her director hat on. Welcome back to the Director Diaries. We are on day 6. So let me tell you what I have been up to today. I have read the play for the 3rd time, and the reason being, well, first time I read the play to find out what on earth is going on in it. Second time, read it for enjoyment. Third time, that's when we start getting into it. And there will be many more read-throughs to come, with each different read-through having a different purpose, basically. So the 3rd read-through today was all about looking for things I don't understand. So references for the time period, words that I don't recognise, or indeed making sure that words mean the same thing as I think they do, because language is not always the same. So the play is set in 1934. That doesn't mean that every single word that I come across means the same thing today as it did back then, because it doesn't. So I'm looking for that, and the reference side of things helps to gain the kind of social, historical and cultural context that's happening, kind of framing, if you like, the production. So I'll show you a little snippet of what that looks like in my notebook. And here we have the start of my notebook. So these are the kind of quotes that I've taken out from the play. These are my notes that I've made, and so far, here we are. And anything in red is something that doesn't quite make sense. So for example, Normandy is the word that's mentioned, and that's a reference to SS Normandy, which first sailed in 1935. Now this is an odd reference because Anything Goes happens in 1934. So the sailing hasn't happened, but there's a reference made that important celebrities have chosen to go on that boat instead of on the SS America, which is the boat in the play. You've seen there, that's kind of what it looks like. So I've done scene 1, act 1, and act 1, scene 2 so far. And I will do this for the whole play. And so some of the things, for example, that I have discovered so far, let me get my notebook, is, for example, in scene 1, the term Henley is mentioned. I'm not a sports person, so this kind of went a bit over my head, but basically this is a reference to the Henley Regatta, which is still ongoing today, a rowing competition that happens along the Thames in London. And back in 1934, it was very much seen as one of the highlights of the English social calendar. But what's equally interesting about this research is that the Henley Regatta happens very specifically running from a Tuesday to a Sunday, and it's always the first weekend in July. So that now means from this one word, Henley, we now know that the play is set, must be some point in the middle to the last weeks in June. What I do need to have a look at is how long it would have taken the boat to get from New York to London, because then that will give us a ballpark of when the play is set. And yes, I'm a big nerd. So that's one of the examples. There's heaps of other examples. So one of the things I ended up down a bit of a rabbit hole with, and I am indeed going to bore you about now, is there's a reference to the Bulldogs, the Yale Bulldogs. So then I got thinking, well, what's the kind of ins and outs of this? And what I discovered is that Yale students, before the Bulldogs were adopted as the mascot, Yale students who were on the sports teams were called Elis, and that was a homage to Elihu Yale, who is the, namesake of Yale. And that's interesting because one of the characters, the Yale man, is called Eli, but it's Elijah, is the full character's name. So again, a little homage. And I also learned that the mascot, the English Bulldog, of Yale, is called Handsome Dan, and is still the same mascot that they used today. Not the same dog, obviously. So yes, I will do this for the whole play, and it will allow me to gain a deeper understanding of what's actually being hinted at, what's the context, what's the subtext, what's the pretext. And then that means that when I'm working with actors, who hopefully will have done a same level of work in their analysis of character, is that we can have these deeper conversations of, okay, so why does your character say that? Oh, well, that's because X, Y, Z. So then it helps to inform things like actions, objectives, all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, that has been an insight for day 6. I'm going to carry on doing it for the rest of the play, and I'm sure there'll be an update to follow if I come across any juicy nuggets of information that I learn along the way. If you've made it this far in the video, well done, gold star.